for joining our session today, A Journey into Digital Assets with Bullish. My name is Ty Dow. I'm an account executive on the Google Cloud Digital Assets team, where I support our customers and partners to accelerate their efforts in building and deploying new products on blockchain-based platforms. I couldn't be more excited for today's conversation, as partnerships such as the one that was formed between Google Cloud and Bullish serve as the catalyst for the formation of the digital assets team in January of this year, followed by the launch of our product and engineering team a few months afterwards. As you can see, Google is deeply invested in this space and committed to partnering with founders and startups to accelerate innovation within the Web3 space. Key takeaways for today's sessions are: we'll dive into how Bullish took a unique approach to addressing the market's needs. Next, we'll talk about how partnering with Google Cloud helped Bullish accelerate their growth and scale. Finally, we'll wrap up with Michael's predictions on what's next for blockchain, digital assets, and Web3. With that said, I'm delighted to welcome Michael Lau, SVP and Global Head of Sales at Bullish, to share their journey to becoming one of the world's fastest growing digital asset exchanges. Michael, thank you for joining us today. For our viewers who don't know who you are, could you please share a little bit about yourself?
Thanks, Ty. Very happy to be here today. Just a little bit about me. I'm originally from Canada. I studied as an engineer. I spent over a decade working in finance and capital markets industry here in Hong Kong. I've always been interested in technology and business innovation, how new businesses and innovation technology kind of merge together. And so about 2.5 years ago, I joined a team of 25 people on this journey to build Bullish. And it's been like the most interesting kind of journey being at the frontier of this new space.
That's very interesting, because my involvement with Bullish started about 2.5 years ago as well. That's when I started immersing myself into blockchain and digital assets. During this time, we witnessed the peaks and valleys of the crypto market, from DeFi summer in 2020, followed by the popularity and adoption of NFTs. How does someone new to this space make sense of it all? And where do we go from here, Michael?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of using well thought out frameworks when you're answering these kinds of questions. There's one in particular that comes to mind, which is written in this book called Evolution of New Markets by an author named Paul Jarosky, who talks about this idea of a technology trajectory. When there's a new kind of technology that forms, there's this kind of propulsion that happens when there's more research and development and investment put into that new technology. And what ends up forming is what you would consider this kind of main branch of technology trajectory. As that grows, you'll start to see, different kind of secondary branches starting to emerge, largely kind of forming new industries and new markets. And that's where, if you think about blockchain, what we've noticed in the last couple of years is that the technology of blockchain is that kind of genesis that then starts to kind of, have that propulsion forward. And as we kind of started moving that way, you saw certain things like tokenization start to create this new market around digital assets. Fast forward a little bit further, and all of a sudden you have, smart contracts as a key part of how people are starting to take, financial services and, effectively create decentralized and programmable financial services for these digital assets. You go a little bit further and you get to, the space of NFTs, and, that's caught a lot of headlines, and a lot of people kind of look at that sometimes and wonder to themselves, what exactly is that? I think what you'll find is, if you were to kind of dig a little bit deeper, it really is kind of the beginnings of a digitally native set of identities, and also communities as well, that are forming as a result of this. And when you combine all of these things together, I think what you'll find is more or less kind of the makings of what you probably could consider as a digitally native universe. And so when you think about, kind of all of these, maybe sometimes considered at the surface level, disparate type of activities happening in the space, actually using a framework like this helps us to kind of map it out. And I understand that there is this kind of trajectory that's happening. And if you're, keenly observing kind of where that trajectory goes, or where these secondary branches are forming, it'll really help you to understand where the next opportunities could be.
Decentralized identity, that's certainly something that at Google Cloud we're exploring as well. And you mentioned NFTs. I've certainly purchased a few that I'm not super proud of. But decentralized programmable finance, now you've definitely caught my attention with that. Let's switch gears with a provocative question. But first off, kudos to you and the Bullish team for crossing 100 billion in total trading volume in only 9 months after launching. Can you talk about how Bullish was able to accomplish this in such a short period of time, Michael?
Yeah, and to answer that, I think it's important to kind of just briefly talk about who Bullish is and how Bullish came to be. The Bullish journey started back in late 2019 when we identified two major themes in this new digital asset market. The first theme was that as the digital asset industry grew, the composition of that capital entering into the market would become more and more institutional in nature, which brings about it a number of requirements, including security, professionalism, scale. But one specific requirement was the need for deeper liquidity in the markets. The second theme was that as the digital asset industry grew, it was going to be more regulated. So on the back of those two themes, we built and launched in November 2021 a centralized regulated digital asset exchange, where our answer to the deeper liquidity question is a differentiation rooted in technology. We built Bullish to be an exchange that combines the ability for customers to place standard bids and offers as you would in most exchanges, but also utilize our proprietary automated market making instruction feature, or an AMM instruction feature. The way that this AMM instruction works is that a customer sends this instruction to Bullish, and this AMM instruction algorithmically populates bids and offers within a price range. These bids and offers provide opportunities for other customers of Bullish to trade and interact with. And when they do, the AMM instruction automatically repopulates the bids and offers, creating a very unique trading and liquidity ecosystem. So what does this mean? Well, what we discovered was that as we brought this to market, we found three unique value propositions that resonated with professional traders. The first unique value proposition is that every dollar generating liquidity using these AMM instructions is a dollar not anywhere else in the market generating this liquidity. So this is truly a unique source of liquidity. The second value proposition is that there's no external data source informing how these AMM instructions should price assets. The price is updated only based on actual trading activity on our exchange. So at Bullish, you will find independent price discovery for the assets that we list. The third value proposition combines the earlier ones with significantly deep levels of liquidity. So when you look at a site like CoinMarketCap, where it compares the amounts of buys and sells on digital asset exchanges, you'll find Bullish's depth right there towards the top of the list. So to go back to the original question, I've always been a fan of Clayton Christensen's theory of jobs to be done, where he suggests looking beyond correlation as a means of identifying whether or not a product and a customer would fit, but rather a slightly more rigorous approach of understanding causality and how people choose certain options to fulfill a job that they need to have done. And what we've discovered is that as we brought Bullish to the market and speaking to a number of professional, sophisticated traders, there were a set of jobs to be done where Bullish really stood out as that venue of choice or truly additive venue to the needs of these particular customers. And as a result of that, we've been able to see some significant growth, including the one that Ty just mentioned of hitting $100 billion of total traded volume since the first 9 months of launching the exchange. Now, with that being said, these jobs to be done do have some prerequisites that we didn't fulfill in order for us to be even considered. And the two that I wanted to call out was around security and scale. Because on that front, we decided to take a slightly unique approach by building Bullish on a blockchain-centric architecture in the cloud, which is where Bullish and Google Cloud partnered together.
So to summarize, Bullish's unique value proposition is the fact that you've been able to successfully bring the best of traditional finance, have deep liquidity with blockchain-based automated market-making technology, combined with the best of security and scale to offer differentiated product. How has Bullish leveraged Google to accelerate go-to-market growth while addressing security and scale?
Cool. Well, let's first talk about what it means to build on a blockchain-centric architecture. By designing a significant amount of our highest permission activities and information on a blockchain, it meant that we can inherit many of the core security benefits that blockchain technology offers. A cryptographically secure access to the system, an immutable record of what's occurred, and a highly secured system to ensure the code that is run is the code that was deployed. When you're running a system processing billions of dollars of transactions, security needs to be at the design level, not simply at the mitigation level. And so when we were designing and building Exchange, we decided to deviate from the typical path normally taken by more traditional financial services firms, which would be to build on physical hardware. Instead, we wanted to build on a modern technology stack with all the flexibility that cloud technology offers. To do so, we wanted a strong partner. that could help us to navigate getting to market and achieving liftoff with the exchange. And that's where Bullish and Google Cloud found each other. So for example, one key advantage of using Google Cloud when we were bringing Bullish to market was the ability to spin up and down environments quickly. You can imagine that, this is a quite valuable feature for us as a startup, as we're bringing a new product of this sophistication with a large team of developers working on the platform. Specifically, Kubernetes and Google Cloud and the support that we get around that really helped us in those early days of building the exchange, getting it launched, managing multiple environments, and we still use that today as we continue to develop and innovate on the platform.
And we're happy that you selected Google Cloud to be your partner to help implement that solution. Thank you. Since the beginning of the year, we've witnessed a crypto winter. So my next question for you, Michael, is where do you see this industry headed in the next 12 to 24 months?
Yeah, it's certainly been an interesting and challenging time for the industry. With that being said, another kind of, I call it maxim that I've been thinking a lot about is that invention doesn't always necessarily equal innovation, and the key ingredient that is makes all the difference is commerciality. And so when you had a bull market in the digital asset space and in crypto in the last little while, what you saw was that tide kind of came in and floated all boats. But as that starts to recede, there's all of a sudden this urgency to survive. And I think that urgency to survive is actually an accelerant for this industry to continue to mature. I think as a result of that, what we're going to get are better products, more credible counterparties, and greater value creation, because you no longer can just hide in the kind of good markets of just inventing things or spending money for just being able to gather attention. You actually have to put the product and innovation to commercial use. And I think that's where, although this is a tougher environment to navigate now, I think in the grand scheme of things, it actually is going to help this industry continue to mature a lot faster. And hopefully that pushes us to that next inning of where this technology and industry goes and result in even greater adoption over time.
Michael, it's been a pleasure chatting with you today. Before we wrap up, any closing remarks that you would like to share with our viewers today?
Yeah, I hope you found this talk useful in thinking about this new industry and are as bullish as we are about where we're headed. If you'd like to learn more, please check out bullish.com to join us along for this journey. Thanks.
I am bullish as well. I'm very excited to see what the future has in store for all of us. Michael, thank you again for your time today. And to our viewers, we hope the session was valuable to you. Thank you all.